So dear students, Nelson Mandela is the you might have heard about him in your social science class, and if not, today I'm going to introduce Nelson Mandela to you. I have already made a concept video in the month of April, so you can also go through this. I'll send you the link so that you can once again brush up your memory of the content. Okay. Anyway, Nelson Mandela was South Africa's first black president. Okay, he was South Africa's first black president, and he belonged to a political party in South Africa which is called African National Congress. Okay, so dear students, Nelson Mandela was a fighter in the sense that his country was ripped apart by a political system called apartheid. Dear students, apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Okay, like in South Africa, you might have come across this information that there exist two types of races: white and black people. Okay, white people and black people. Okay, so apartheid is a political system where black people were discriminated by the white people. Black people were discriminated by the white people. So Nelson Mandela, being the representative of the black people, he had to fight a lot in order to put an end to this apartheid system which was existing in South Africa for many years. Okay, so Nelson Mandela fought for the cause of his black people and liberated the country from the system of apartheid. Okay, so we shall come to know in this chapter how Nelson Mandela, who belonged to African National Congress and who was the leader of the black people, how could he become successful in removing a political system, that is apartheid, which was based on complete discrimination among the black people, or between the black people and the white people. So this is what we are going to learn. How was Nelson Mandela instrumental in putting an end to a political system in South Africa called apartheid? Okay, what did Nelson Mandela do? What was his contribution to his countrymen in order to put an end to this discriminatory form of government, that is apartheid? So let's find out from this lesson. Before that, I would like to give you some background information about Nelson Mandela. Okay, so Arpita, good morning. Omkar, good morning. Okay, so let me begin. Okay, Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. So you can imagine, dear students, South Africa was governed by the white people for 3 centuries, that is for 300 years. South Africa was governed by the white people. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. Okay, in the first democratic elections, Nelson Mandela won 252 seats out of the 400 seats. Okay, therefore his government could come to power, and he was able to establish democracy in his country. And before that, it was not a democracy, it was a kind of a political system which was apartheid, where there was a lot of discrimination. So you can imagine the black people, the black community in South Africa suffered for around 300 years before they eventually could find some ray of hope in the formation of the first democratic government, and of which Nelson Mandela was the president. So let's find out. So first, Nelson Mandela, initially for a few paragraphs, he describes about the inauguration ceremony. Okay, inauguration ceremony, how did it take place? Okay, because the Indian National Congress came to power in the first democratic election. Therefore, the inauguration ceremony will take place in a very grand manner, in a very grand and very glamorous manner, because after 300 years of white rule, now South Africa has achieved the freedom from the discriminatory form of government, and now the democratic form of government is going to take over. Therefore, the inauguration ceremony was of utmost importance for South Africa. Therefore, it was celebrated in a grand manner. It was celebrated in a grand manner. So this is what we are going to learn. Where did the inauguration ceremony take place? The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Okay, so this inauguration ceremony was attended by more than dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So you can imagine to what extent the inauguration ceremony was considered to be grand. Okay, it was a very large scale celebration. It was a very grand and glamorous celebration. Dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world came to South Africa to celebrate the victory of the black people over the white and the establishment of democracy for the first time after 300 years of black rule. Then let's read out. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. In his inaugural address after becoming the president of South Africa, black president of South Africa, he said, never, never again will this beautiful land here refers to South Africa, experience the oppression of one by another. Oppression, there will not be any oppression. Now, oppression, you understand? Oppression means, oppression means if you are exploited, if somebody is exploited by another, given trouble by another, tormented by another, this is called oppression. Okay, so Nelson Mandela means to say that never again in this beautiful country of South Africa, black people will be oppressed by the black people will be oppressed by the white people, and vice versa, means white people will also not be oppressed by the black people. Okay, because now the policy of apartheid has come to an end, and this is a landmark victory for the African National Congress, the leader of which was Nelson Mandela. Therefore, he became the first black president of South Africa in the first democratic election. Next, jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony, with blacks, whites and coloreds celebrating together. Coloreds means people of different colors. More than 100,000 South African men, women and children of all races sang and danced with joy. More than 100,000 South African, can you imagine, more than 100,000 South African men, women and children of all races, black, white, coloreds, everyone came down to the street. They sang and they danced with joy. Now our lesson will start. Okay, that was the introductory part, dear students. Now our lesson will start. Okay, so let's begin our lesson today. 10th May dawned bright and clear. 10th May was the day when the inauguration ceremony took place. So therefore, and as I told you before in my introduction, dear students, this story is written by Nelson Mandela himself. So it is called an autobiographical story. Autobiographical story refers to the story which is written by the writer himself. Okay, so therefore it is a first person narrative. You can see I is given here, I. If in the narration I is mentioned, then you will understand that it's a first person narrative. Okay, so as Nelson Mandela himself is the writer of his own life here in this story. Therefore, it is a first person narrative, and it is an autobiographical story. Always remember this. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. Okay. Besieged by means he was surrounded. Nelson Mandela was surrounded by dignitaries from all across the globe. Okay, dignitaries and world leaders came to pay their respects, okay, to the South African democracy. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil, because it is the birth of democracy on the soil of South Africa. Therefore, it was the largest gathering of international leaders for the first time on the South African soil, because it is the birth of democracy for South Africa. Therefore, there was a huge gathering of international dignitaries and leaders. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union buildings in Pretoria. It took place in Pretoria, and inside an amphitheatre it took place. Amphitheatre, the meaning of amphitheatre is given here: a building without a roof with many rows of seats rising in steps, like a gallery. You might have seen the gallery in the stadium. Okay, you might have gone to Nagpur Stadium and all, so you might have seen that, rows of steps rising. Okay, so likewise in amphitheatre also, gallery-like sitting structure, sitting arrangement is there. So in this lovely sandstone amphitheatre, what happened? This inauguration ceremony took place, and this lovely sandstone amphitheatre is situated in Pretoria. Okay, for decades this had been the seat of white supremacy. For decades, okay, what happened? This amphitheatre was the seat of white government, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. Okay, so you can understand this amphitheatre where the inauguration ceremony is taking place was the place of the white government for decades together, and now this has become a place of rainbow gathering, because people from different countries, okay, dignitaries and world leaders have gathered here. Therefore, it is rainbow gathering. Okay, people of different colors and races. Okay, therefore, rainbow coloring of different colors and nations came down to be present in the amphitheatre. Why? Because it was for the first time that South Africa was celebrating its victory insofar as installation of democracy is concerned, and it's a democratic government. Therefore, it is a non-racial government. The previous government, the white government, was racial government. It used to discriminate between the white and the black people. The black people were marginalized, they were tortured, they were harassed. Okay, there was a lot of discrimination on the black people. Therefore, now the installation of democracy on the soil of South Africa has put an end to the non-racial white government and non-racial black government. Okay, because white government was racial. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zinani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. So Mr. De Klerk was the second deputy president. Then whose swearing in took place, then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, when the turn of the president, that is Nelson Mandela, came, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution. He pledged, because you might have also seen, dear students, after the general election in India, you might have seen when the result comes out and when the government is formed, new government is formed, then all the ministers take their pledge, okay, in the parliament, okay, and they are read out pledge by the president of India. So likewise here also in South Africa also, deputy president, first deputy president, second deputy president, and president himself, okay, were seen to be taking pledge. So what did Nelson Mandela pledge in his, in front of everyone? He pledged to obey and uphold. Uphold means support the constitution, new democratic constitution, and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. Okay, because it's a democratic country, therefore he said, I will devote myself to the well-being. Well-being means to the development, the prosperity of the republic. Okay, Republic of South Africa, to the people of the Republic of South Africa. This is what he said, I shall devote myself to the progress and development of the people of the Republic of South Africa. And to the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, to the people, assembled guests means who have already gathered there in amphitheater from different countries, they are called assembled guests, and the watching world. Watching world because this particular program was telecast live all across the nation, therefore those nations who are which are watching over the television, watching live over television, they are the watching world here. What did Nelson Mandela tell in his inaugural speech to the people all across the globe, as well as to the assembled guests in amphitheater? He said, today all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to new-born liberty out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. Okay, all humanity will be proud. So what does it mean? It means Nelson Mandela said in front of every watching world and every assembled guest in amphitheater, he said, today by our presence in the amphitheater, we confer glory. We confer glory means we here give glory and hope to new-born liberty. New-born liberty here refers to the installation of democratic government in South Africa. Okay, dear students, you might be knowing the concept of democracy. What is democracy? Democracy is the formation of government by the people of the country. So, by the democracy is for the people, of the people, and by the people, isn't it? Because the citizens of a particular country have lot of influence in the or have a greater role in the formation of democratic government. So he is saying that we confer glory and hope to the new. We confer glory. It's a glory for our new-born liberty. New-born liberty means here the democracy. Okay, the newly formed democratic setup of South Africa is called new-born liberty. So he said, I confer glory and hope to new-born liberty out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster. Okay, dear students, human disaster here refers to 300 years of white discrimination of the black people is what is referred to as human disaster. Why is called disaster? Because so many black people have sacrificed their life in order to fight against the white government, in order to rid the country from the white government. A lot of people before Mandela also fought for the liberation of the country, and in the process of their fighting, in the process of their protests, many people have sacrificed their lives. Okay, many ordinary people have also become victims of white torture and humiliation. Therefore, they have laid down their lives. Apart from political leaders, there were also common people who laid down their lives, okay, because they became victims of the white oppression. So they have laid down their lives, and this particular sacrifice of many people, many black people, okay, in the white government, okay, regime, or in the regime of the white government, the sacrifice of many black people is here referred to as human disaster, because white supremacy has been prevalent in South Africa for more than 300 years. Therefore, by human disaster, Nelson Mandela means to say that human disaster is the sacrifice of the political leaders as well as the common people, okay, because they became victims of white oppression. Okay, so this is what is human disaster all about. That lasted too long, 300 years of white supremacy. Okay, and then he said, out of this extraordinary human disaster, now now democracy is born. Must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. All humanity. Humanity means human beings all across the globe will be proud of this newborn democracy, newborn social and political setup. What is this setup? It is the non-racial government, okay, where there will be no discrimination of black people from now onwards. Therefore, Nelson Mandela is absolutely thrilled to have achieved victory, okay, and to have achieved the installation, or to have achieved the democratic setup in his country. Okay, then he says, we who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be the host to the nations of the world on our own soil. It is his inaugural address, and his inaugural address is saying, we who were outlaws. Outlaws means people who were not allowed to, were not considered as citizens of the country, or might be who were discriminated against. Okay, discriminated against. They are called outlaws. People who were not given any right to speak, or who were not integrated in the mainstream society, they are called outlaws. So Nelson Mandela is saying, we all black people were outlaws. Okay, just recently. Till recently we are all outlaws. Now we have been given the rare privilege, because for the first time, the black government is the host to the nations of the world from the soil of their own, from the soil of their origin, that is from their own country, from South Africa. The black people for the first time has got rare privilege to host the nations, okay, of the world from their own soul. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Okay, so the installation of the first democratic setup, okay, in the country or in South Africa is a common victory. This is what Nelson Mandela says. He says it is a common victory for justice, for peace, and for human dignity. Okay, why it's a common victory? Because the benefit of the democratic setup, government setup, will pass on to every citizen of the country. Okay, it will pass on to the black people who were tortured for so long, as well as it will be a privilege for the white people, because now onwards there will be no discrimination. Understood? But why does he say it is a common victory? Because it is the sacrifice of all the black people. The democratic setup is the outcome of the sacrifice of all the black communities. Okay, all the black people. Therefore, it's a common victory for justice, because they wanted justice, they wanted peace and human dignity. Because if in a country a particular race is discriminated, if a particular race is tortured, then in this society there cannot be peace and human dignity, because every human being is born with some dignity. Okay, so every human being has the liberty to live a dignified life. Okay, but it is not possible if they become victim of discrimination. Okay, therefore Nelson Mandela said, now it's a common victory for justice, for peace, and for human dignity. Now human beings, all the black people, all the white people, everybody, irrespective of their color and race, okay, will be able to live with dignity. Therefore, he said, it is a common victory for justice, for peace, and for human dignity. We have at last achieved our political emancipation. Dear students, emancipation means freedom from restriction. Political restriction, because under the white government, black people were restricted, okay, in voicing their protest, in their freedom of expression, in their freedom of speech, okay. Now that democracy is established, this restriction has been lifted from the black people. So now that is why Mandela says they have achieved their political emancipation. Matlab there is no political restriction on the part of the black people now, as the government has changed and it is a more liberal and non-racial government. Therefore, Nelson Mandela very proudly says that we have at last achieved our political emancipation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. Now he is pledging in his inaugural address to all the people, okay, especially the black people, saying that we pledge ourselves, okay, we swear, okay, to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, okay, because they were discriminated, the black people. Therefore now this democratic government will certainly remove their poverty also, okay. So no person will remain poor. Therefore he said, now we are there to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation. Dear students, deprivation means if you are not having your genuine thing, okay, if you are deprived of, or if something what you deserve to have has been taken away from you, then you are deprived. Understood? Suppose food, cloth and shelter is something what you deserve, and if any one of these three facilities has been taken away from you, then it is called deprivation, okay. So deprivation, the literal meaning of deprivation is state of not having one's rightful benefits, okay, and here deprivation refers to the basic right of human beings to have food, cloth and shelter and freedom of expression, okay. So now this black government is going to liberate all the people, especially the black people, from the bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. There will not be any gender discrimination also. There will not be any discrimination among men and women and other kinds of discrimination. So Nelson Mandela pledged in front of everyone in his inaugural address that now we pledge to liberate people from the continuing bondage of poverty and deprivation and suffering, gender and all kinds of discrimination. Now there will not be any kind of discrimination in the country, okay, and we shall certainly try our level best to liberate all our people from their miserable life, okay. Now never again shall it be that this beautiful and land will again experience the oppression of one by another, okay. Now he says that never ever, okay, never again South Africa will experience any kind of discriminatory behavior, okay, which it was used to experience, okay, for many years. So now onwards there will not be any discrimination of any sort on the soil of South Africa. This is what he is pledging in front of the world and pledging in front of the people, okay. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement, okay. This is a very remarkable day. This is a very memorable day for each one of us. Therefore, the sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. It is metaphorically speaking. He is saying sun will never set on such a glorious human achievement, means the prosperity and progress of the country of South Africa will continue, will remain forever. Let freedom reign, God bless Africa. And he says, let freedom reign. Reign means exist, okay, continue. Reign here refers to continue or prevail, Okay, so he says, let freedom reign, God bless Africa. Okay, God bless South Africa. Now there will not be any kind of discrimination on our people on the basis of their races and colors. There will not be any kind of deprivation in terms of in terms of there are different types of deprivation. Okay, deprivation in terms of money, deprivation in terms of food, deprivation in terms of education. There are different types of deprivation. So he said there will not be any kind of deprivation from now onwards. There will not be any kind of discrimination, gender discrimination onwards. Gender discrimination means the discrimination between man and women. Okay. Then he said, we shall liberate the people from the bondage of poverty. Nelson Mandela is now promising his people that we shall certainly liberate you from your poverty, because if people are not liberated from their perpetual state of poverty, in that case what happens, dear students? In that case a country cannot progress, society cannot progress. Therefore it is very important for a democratic government or a democratic country to liberate its people from perpetual state of poverty. Okay, and all kinds of deprivation and gender discrimination. That's all Nelson Mandela has promised to the people in his inaugural address. Okay, in his inaugural address. Now let us find out something else. Inaugural address point is over, dear students. Now let's find out a few, and now the description of the inaugural ceremony is given here. Description of the inaugural ceremony, which is not so important, so I'll go a bit fast this part. Okay, how was inaugural ceremony done? Okay, or how did the celebration take place is something what the writer has, Nelson Mandela has described here. Okay, so I shall go a bit fast this part. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe. Okay, as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters and troop carriers roared in perfect formation over the Union buildings. You might have seen Republic Day celebration also. It happens, helicopters, Air Force, people, Army people, they hover over the sky. Okay, in the sky. And similar sights were visible, okay, in the ceremony here. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy. Okay, so it shows military's loyalty also to democracy. Okay, because they are by flying all across, by hovering in the sky, they are also safeguarding the sovereignty, and they are also showing their respect and honor to the newly formed democratic political setup in South Africa. Understood? So this is what has been mentioned here. To a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. Okay, and in the election, the people of South Africa have selected the black government. Okay, so he said the election was free and fair. Then only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and Police, their chests bedecked with ribbons and medals from days gone by. Okay, all the South Africans Defence Force also came, police came, and their chests were bedecked, means their chests were decorated with ribbons, medals and all this. Okay, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. Okay, they all saluted Nelson Mandela because he was the newly elected black president. Therefore, they saluted army, saluted Air Force, saluted. Okay, the newly elected South African president. Then I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. But he was also reminded of the fact that okay, not many years ago, before he won election, when the country was run by the white government, at that time also Nelson Mandela was never given a salute, okay, and he was rather arrested at that time, okay. But now that the new government has come, and Nelson Mandela has won the presidential election, therefore they were saluting him, okay, they were saluting him. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue and gold of the new South African flag. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems, okay. Then two national anthems, the one is the national anthem of the black and another is the national anthem of the South. Two national anthems were simultaneously played, okay. And the vision of white singing all this African language and black singing the old anthem of the Republic. So the anthem of the black people, black government was and black singing Diem, the old anthem of the Republic. The old black people were singing the old anthem of the Republic. Although that neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem they once despised, they would soon know the words by heart, okay. They did not know the lyrics of the anthem, neither group, because white people hated the anthem of the black people, and black people hated the anthem of the white people. Now that the system has changed, new government is formed. Now both the races, white and black people, will come to learn the lyrics of each other, each anthem, okay, by heart. This is what Nelson Mandela says. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed. He said, on the day of the inauguration ceremony, I was overwhelmed. Why was he overwhelmed? Why was he overjoyed? With a sense of history. So, Sahil, Yog, am I audible clearly? Just confirm me once again. I hope you are able to hear me properly. Okay, thank you, York. Thank you so much. Okay, on the day, okay, before I proceed, can anyone ask me any question? You have any doubt regarding any of the word or any of the concept, dear students? Is there any doubt in your mind till what I have finished teaching? If yes, please write down. You can check me. I will just check after some time, okay? I will check after some time. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. Okay, so he was overwhelmed. Dear students, overwhelmed, the meaning of overwhelmed means overexcited. He was very much joyous. He was so happy. Overwhelmed means he was so very much happy. There was a lot of excitement in him. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed with a sense of history. What kind of history? In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their own land. Okay, so dear students, here Nelson Mandela in this paragraph is giving the history of the period of discrimination. Okay, he said history from when the discriminatory behavior of the white people started against the black people. So he is giving us the history. So dear students, Anglo-Boer War is the war between the British and the Boer community of South Africa or Africa, you can say. Okay. This is Anglo-Boer War. The war was fought between the British and the Boer community of Africa. So after the Anglo-Boer War and before the birth of Nelson Mandela, what happened? The white-skinned peoples of South Africa, they erected a system of racial dominion. Okay, what kind of racial domination? It's this is what is called apartheid. Against the dark people, against the black people of South Africa, they have erected a racial sort of a system, racial system of governance. Okay, after the Anglo-Boer War. So can you imagine, this particular racial discrimination started long 200 years back, 300 years back, understood, and it was continuing till that time, understood, till Nelson Mandela's political party, African National Congress, won the first democratic election of South Africa. Till that time, this system of apartheid, political system of apartheid, discriminatory political system was going on. Okay, so this is what is the history. History has been given here. From the Anglo-Boer War, the system of apartheid started in South Africa. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever seen. Okay, so the structure of government that the white people created, this structure was very harsh, very cruel structure. It was the most inhuman structure, because this structure of political setup, this discriminatory structure of political setup was really very much unfair, because on the one hand the white community of people was thriving or progressing. On the other hand, the black community of people were suffering a lot. They were suffering, they were undergoing perpetual state of poverty, they were undergoing all kinds of discriminatory oppression by the white people. They were deprived of their political right, they were deprived of their freedom of expression, they were deprived of the dignified way of living in the society, and there was also gender discrimination. So on the one hand, one kind of community of people was thriving, and on the other hand, another community of people was suffering. So this is a complete mismatch. This is a complete imbalance in the political setup. Therefore, the black people were the worst sufferers under the white government. This is why Nelson Mandela says here, this white structure of discriminatory political setup was the harshest, most inhuman that society all across the globe has ever seen. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples regardless of the color of their skin. And he says, now, after so many years of suffering, now we have set up a political system, kind of a political system where the rights and freedoms of all types of races and colors, people of all races and colors, okay, will be given. All races of people, and will have the same rights and freedoms, understood, regardless of the color of their skin. Okay, even the white people also will have the same privilege as the black people under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, under the new political system of democracy. So this is what Mandela is informing us. So you understood, dear students? This line, once again let me read out. Now in the last decade of the 20th century and my own 8th decade as a man, that system had been overturned forever. That system means that discriminatory white political system had been overturned now, and that white apartheid political system had been replaced by by the democratic political setup of South Africa, where the rights and freedoms of all the people, irrespective of their color, of the skin, will be maintained or will be granted. Okay, all the people will have the same rights and freedoms of expression. Okay, you understood? So let's wind up here, dear students, because I've got another class scheduled for the day. Therefore, let me end here. Okay, let me wind up my lecture here. The next class I will start from here. Okay, next class I will start from this paragraph. Okay, dear students, next day I think I need 3 lectures for this. Okay, another 2 lectures I require, because I cannot afford to go very fast. This lesson is a bit difficult in terms of sentence structures and words, meanings and concept as well. Therefore, I need to go a bit slow, dear students. Okay, so dear students, yeah, thank you Sania, Mrudula, Sahil, Vaishnavi, Rupam, all of you, thank you Prajwal, thank you so much Laxman. Have a nice day, and I shall forward you, dear students, the concept video of this lesson. You can see this, and please do come on time like you came today, on time. We shall start straight away at 11 o'clock. Okay, thank you dear students, thank you so much, and have a nice day. Bye bye, take care.